Have you been humming the song all day long that I've been humming?
Let's talk about sex, baby.
About sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
Let's talk about all the good things and the bad
things
that may be.
Guys, we haven't talked in so long. I don't even know where to begin.
I know there's a lot.
Oh, man.
I don't even know where to begin. Do we talk about Chapel Roan, whom I love?
She's the best.
Who?
Chapel Roan. Hot to go. Pink Pony Club.
Huge.
She's
Pink
a the current kind of big pop star of the summer, along with Charlie XCX.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie XCX is having a comeback, huh?
She's having a huge summer.
Charlie XCX is?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
It's a Brat
it's
Summer,
a
baby.
Brat
Pop
Summer.
at all?
Come on.
It's only been on the radio for like 2 weeks though.
It's the number one.
And it's
she did a
everywhere.
thing-
The new color.
She did a collab with Billie Eilish. I think it was the fastest growing collab ever.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about being able to see someone's underwear.
Do you know where Charlie XCX, where I first heard her?
Where, Donald?
That little Iggy Azalea song, Fancy.
Oh, she wasn't.
And then
She was in that, yeah.
And then she had Boom Bap, it's all in my heart. That beat goes on and on and on and on, and Boom Bap just makes me feel good.
Yeah. Well,
And that was the last I had heard from her.
She has an enormous hit album that everyone is listening to, and it's all over the
I know my
pop
daughter
chart.
put it on yesterday.
Yeah. And am I saying her name right? Chapel Roan?
Yeah, Chapel Roan.
Chapel Roan.
She, Donald, this young lady had a concert at Lollapalooza, and Lollapalooza said that's the biggest crowd we've ever had.
Wow. That's nuts.
For this one artist. Both of these young ladies are blowing up. I'm going to introduce
great
you.
albums.
You're going to like
Great albums.
You know
You
what
will
song
like
I
Chapel
really
Roan,
like?
Donald.
Yeah, you'll like Chapel Roan, Donald. The song I recommend you start with, because I listen to it a lot, and I know y'all think, of course, Zach likes Chapel Roan because he loves the girly pop. Red Wine Supernova.
It's so good.
You know that one?
Oh, yes.
Does it go red, red wine?
I've been driving around LA with like bopping my head to that.
Yes. She's inspired by the drag queens. She has incredible outfits.
Yeah, what is that
her life
relationship? Is she a queer person? Is she out?
So she's queer.
Right.
She's a bisexual. She's of my people. But she was
the
performing at
drag
a lot
queens
of
love her. What's going on with that story? Why
she was
why is
performing
so
at a lot of gay clubs, and
I see.
drag performer was like, I think you are a cisgender drag queen, which if you think about drag, it's just like overly heightened feminine energy. So there are cisgender drag queens. And she was like, I really embrace this idea. I love it. And so she started doing like just extra big makeups and costumes. Donald, for her Lollapalooza set, she was in luchador outfit with bodybuilders behind her. Phenomenal. So good.
Good for her.
Feminine.
I saw some video that was like, I don't know how many years ago it was, but not that many years ago. And it was like her busking for like nobody. Or maybe she wasn't busking. She was on a stage with, one of those things where you see video and there's like 20 people.
It was at Pacific Park.
Oh, right. And then you cut, and then the video they cut to Lollapalooza and like 80,000 people. This is crazy how one's life can change.
Yes.
We've seen it. We've seen it firsthand.
Amen. Yeah. We've seen it.
Josh
Our lives
Radin.
change.
Well, yeah, but Josh Radin's, we've seen it like in music with Josh Radin.
Yeah.
Maybe not to this level where
No, not at that level, but of course at his own level. Yeah, we saw his life change. He was sleeping on my couch.
It's really interesting. It's really interesting where music can take you, because it doesn't happen for everybody, but for the selected few, you know what I mean? If you can ride that wave for a long time, you're the 1% of the 1%. But for the selected few that get that moment, that 15 minutes, enjoy that shit. I feel like that's why all of these artists are so fucking out of their minds and stuff. They're like, this shit could be gone tomorrow, bro. They might not buy the next song. So enjoy this right now. You know what I mean? Because you never know.
Charlie XCX, I haven't heard from her making music in a long time. And all of a sudden, this has been like the most viral album. It's everywhere.
Yeah. You
So
never
good
know.
for her.
You never know. John, the John Cryer episode just here and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. He was talking about that. He was talking about how it seemed like his career was over. He was looked at as the guy who was given the chance, and you know what? It didn't work. So we're going to move on. Yeah. And he found a way to get back in these people's faces and show them.
That's what's crazy about this career path, this industry, is that you absolutely have no idea what could happen tomorrow, and that's the high and the low of it. Mm-hmm. Is that you can. I was talking about this. I'm doing press for Bad Monkey, which I guess by the time this airs will be out. It's on Apple TV. Mm-hmm. The new show with Vince Vaughn, and I have a role in it. But I was doing press, and they were like, when did you know this show was good? And I was like, you never know anything's good. I directed the second episode of Ted Lasso, and I remember thinking, like, this is cute. Like, this will definitely find an audience. Like, people who like sports, and like, it's got Jason Sudeikis is so funny. This will be cute. I had no idea it was going to become like, this global phenomenon. And you just like John Cryer saying, you just have no idea. One day you got absolutely nothing going on. The next day you're in a fucking you're playing to 80,000
You're in a
people.
number one show, man. That's it's
nominated
ridiculous.
for an Emmy.
Just Emmy, you know what I mean?
Ted Lasso
it's crazy. Look, talking about how your life changes. It's that's what it is.
And also the ebbs and flows of the business. That like you can have a, just as Charlie XCX as an example, like I don't remember last time hearing her put out music, and now she puts out music, and she's like, the it girl of the
talk of the town.
The talk of the town. What else can we talk about?
Let's
happening?
talk about Deadpool Wolverine, please.
Oh, did you love it? I haven't seen it, obviously.
Neither have I.
You guys haven't seen Deadpool Wolverine.
Did you love it, Don? Were you very pleased? Don't give spoilers for audience members.
We don't have to talk about it. It's all right. I liked it. It was a good entertaining movie.
It did very well at the box office. People seem to really love it.
Extremely well.
They keep going back too.
Mm-hmm. $400 million opening weekend. Do you think it saved Marvel, Donald?
I mean, there was nobody from the DCU in it, so I don't know if it saved Marvel. But
wait. Take that again? What?
Say that sentence again.
There was nobody in the MCU in it. Go. Sorry. My bad. That the weirdest
but that's not true. The whole TVA is in there. That's all MCU stuff.
That's the only
from
part.
Loki.
And that's as
that's
close
a key
as
element.
Deadpool. But that's as close as Deadpool got. Oh, also Favreau in the beginning.
What else can we talk about, guys? What else is happening? Joelle, how's your life?
Life is good, man. Can't complain.
Are you dating? Are you flirting? Any fun summer flings going on?
Ooh, I'm talking to somebody. It's early.
There's some talking going on.
We're chatting, but she's cool as hell, and I like her. So we'll see what happens.
It's nice to have a crush, right? Isn't it nice to have a flirty banter going on?
It's delightful. We exchange. I'm a big fan of voice notes. We just exchange voice notes all day, and I'll get like, just send me a voice note. So cute. So yeah, it's fun to be flirty and talking and learning about like really getting to know somebody. So I'm having fun. It's cute.
When you're in those early stages where you don't even know the person barely, but it's just like flirting and getting to know them. That's so fun.
Oh God, yes.
Then all of a sudden something happens, and you're like, oh no.
Knock on wood. Not over here. It's going to continue to be great in this corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been married for a bit. I'm all right, man.
Yeah.
I survived that red flag station.
Yeah, you did.
The moments of, is that a deal breaker?
Right.
Are you going through anything that you want to talk about, Zach?
No, I'm not going to talk about my personal shit, but I will go so far as to say that it's fun to have the flirty banter and be excited, be all geeked out like a kid when you get a cute picture or a text,
I miss those days. Those days don't.
Casey doesn't send you a cute picture?
No, she'll send me funny memes. That's our little banter nowadays. You know what I mean? I'll get a little GIF or a freaking,
a meme
or a, what are those things where it's like a TikTok?
Yeah. Do you but Casey never sends you like a scandalous picture?
No, I sent her the scandalous shit. She never.
Oh
Come
my.
on, guys. Come on, guys.
My.
You know the deal.
Yeah.
I be sending my wife unsolicited dick pics, all of that shit. You know how
Really?
it
And is
goes.
she ever like, whoa?
Yeah, she always puts the rolling her eyes,
That's not whoa. Rolling eyes emoji is not.
That's funny.
or she'll be like, the kids have the phone,
Oh God.
like, hey.
Oh, no.
Wow.
and then
Oh,
she'll be
boy.
like, I'm just fucking with you, and it'll be like,
I sent her this
okay.
meme that was like, of like from a woman's point of view. She's like, I always know when my husband's on the toilet because I'll get like, 50 memes in a row.
Right.
Yeah.
And I sent that to Casey, and she goes, and she wrote back, "You know our husband well."
That's funny.
Too cute.
That's funny.
Yeah.
How about Bill Lawrence in the press, like saying all this stuff about Scrubs reboot? I don't know if you've seen
What did he
that.
say? I haven't heard
Seems
anything.
inevitable.
Well, Bill
now.
can't help himself when he's in front of a microphone and he's doing all the bad monkey press, and he gets all geeked out in front of the journalists. And they ask him without fail, "What's the Scrubs reboot going to be?" And the latest thing he said was like, "I'll probably have an announcement for you in the next 6 months."
Okay.
That's what he
Really,
said. That's what he
Bill.
said this week. And I was actually doing press next to him, and they're like, "Well, Zach, what do you think?" And I'm like, "I only find out this shit when he talks to journalists because he gets all geeked out and wants to like, titillate y'all."
Well, let's find.
Anyway, I think shit's getting
Fuck
real. Is
around
all I'm
and
saying.
find out.
For you
Fuck
fans
around and
out there
find
that
out.
are interested, I think shit's getting real.
Let's talk about Simone Biles. Okay.
There, finally. I was going to say, you're like, what else is going on? I'm like, the Olympics?
Oh, sorry, Olympics, everybody. Olympics. Simone Biles. Wow.
She rules. The
Did you
Olympics
watch a
rule.
lot of it,
She's
Dom?
incredible.
I've been watching the Olympics. I've been watching a lot of highlights of the Olympics because they come on at such weird hours and stuff like that live. And then once you know the score, it's like, or who won, it's like, I don't really care to see any of the, you know what I mean? That's the shit that really sucks about,
the
Instagram
timing of it.
and all of that stuff. It's like,
I keep
look,
thinking about
man,
how is this going to happen in LA? Like,
Right?
I'm not gonna be here, dude.
Oh my
We got to get the fuck
God.
out of
Yeah,
here,
I'm
bro.
leaving
No, but
this
like, I
hell
mean, if you
to
don't
the
live in
no,
LA,
bro.
if you're listening and you don't live in LA, which is most of you, I imagine,
Don't. In the words of Kamala Harris, don't come.
don't
Stay
come.
home.
Do not
Don't
come.
come. Do
Don't
not.
come.
What is it? Do not come.
Do not come.
Yeah, do not come.
Do not come. Have you guys seen that video?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where Trump's
Obviously.
they cut
I'm gonna
together.
come.
They cut together. Trump going, "I'm gonna come,"
gonna come.
and she goes, "Do not come. Do not come."
My word.
Too good.
I'm gonna come.
Goodness.
Do not come. I have to say that for the, if you don't live in LA, you know the rumors that we have a serious traffic congestion problem. And the idea of the Olympics being here, where are these people going to park?
Where
I have
are
no
they gonna
clue.
park? Where is anything
I
gonna
have no,
happen?
you,
Where
We
is
do
it
you
do
even
not
remember
have
gonna be?
reliable
Carmageddon?
public
Do you remember
transportation.
Carmageddon?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Carmageddon.
Mm-mm.
Sheesh.
LA just doesn't have the bandwidth to hold
We
more
don't have the
people.
infrastructure for it.
Do you know how much?
No.
Look, dude, the infrastructure's fucked already, and they're gonna build a bunch
Yeah.
of shit to fucking hold the Olympics. The
Where are they gonna-
infrastructure's fucked already.
Where are they going to hold? Where are they going to hold these things?
The pools at
what do they call it?
Yeah,
SoFi.
well, we have coliseums. We have
SoFi.
SoFi. We
Yeah,
have so many
SoFi,
different. There's so many different spots in Los Angeles where you can hold.
I know, but I'm talking about
events.
people getting around this
Yeah.
city.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna
no.
be tough.
No.
I mean, I know they're
gonna be
trying to
brutal.
build more, subway lines, but
What
it's
is
like
it,
you have
2
to build
weeks?
so many. Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
But it's gonna fuck up the city for like 2 months.
Well,
Dude, I need
yeah.
to
They have
freaking
4
board my
years.
house up. Board your house up.
they have
And
4
get the
years.
fuck out of LA if you hear, because they coming, y'all. They coming.
They're not going to come where
Everybody.
you live, dude. You're going to be okay.
They're gonna be It's gonna be everywhere.
You're
You
going to be
walk-
okay.
You're
Look, you're gonna be in Thousand Oaks. Y'all gonna be in Thousand Oaks and freaking be
No.
like, where the fuck did all these people come from?
How
my
funny is
God.
Snoop, by the way? He's fucking hilarious.
Snoop rules.
Amazing. I hear he's getting
living
paid
it up. I didn't know
$500,000
weed
a
was
day.
so.
What's
Yeah,
that?
I heard that.
Yeah, I'm hearing Snoop's
How
getting
much
paid
they
like
paying him?
$500,000 a day to like go around and be an ambassador for the Olympics essentially and just show
Oh
up
my
everywhere.
God, what a deal.
Listen, that is the
Yeah.
best.
He's
Okay,
funny though.
Snoop.
When he said there was some quote from him like, he was going to the dressage where the horses dance, and he's like,
Mhm.
"I'm excited to
fucking
see these horses and feed them some apples before they do their thing."
He's crazy. I love it though. He seems to be having a good time.
He's just funny, man.
Yeah.
And you see that meme of him like with his glasses down looking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
it's
that one's
perfect.
funny too.
It's perfect.
I haven't seen
All
any
right,
of
let's
this.
talk about sex. Ladies and gentlemen, obviously, we're going to get into sexual talk. If you happen to have your kids listening, this is not the episode because we're going to ask good questions.
We're going to talk about shafts and
We're going to
balls.
talk about clitori.
Labias.
Is the plural for
Majoras.
clitoris is clitori, Joelle?
That is a
I don't think
question
she
for
knows,
professionals.
bro.
I don't know.
think she
Okay.
knows.
I've never
Well,
had to
that's my
use the
first
plural
question for
before.
her.
Okay,
I
not
know.
aware.
Well, I bet there's people born with multiple clitori. All right, let's
That would
count us in.
be in 5, 6,
Here's
7,
some
8.
stories about a show we made about a bunch of docs and nurses and a janitor who loved to hate. I said he's got stories that you all should know. So gather round to hear our Scrubs Rewatch Show with Zach and Donald.
Hello, hello.
Yeah.
Vanessa and Xander. Vanessa and Xander.
We're here.
Vanessa and Xander.
Am I gonna
Hi,
record
guys.
I
it?
gotta tell you.
I might
We're
need
so
to like.
excited. You're our favorite. Yeah, I think you're my favorite guest. I'm sorry to everybody else. I think you guys are my
All
favorite
you
guests.
could talk about
Oh my God.
was sex,
Thank
sex,
you.
sex.
I just.
Since you guys have been on, all he said to Joelle is, "We really need to get them back on the show."
Well,
that was a really
because
big
I
episode
thought,
for me.
people loved it. I hope you got a lot of good feedback, you two, because people stop me on the street and they're like, I bought the anus guide. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, Vanessa and Xander. So you must have sold a lot of guides.
We got a lot of great feedback. We really loved being
Yeah.
on here, and I'm so glad that now we have like a custom little tone for ourselves, a custom jingle, and to be the best guest. That's pretty exciting.
Vanessa and Xander.
Vanessa and Xander.
Vanessa and Xander.
For those of you that didn't catch the first episode of Vanessa and Xander, Vanessa, you are a licensed sex therapist, correct?
Yes, correct.
Xander, you are not,
Xander, you are not,
not.
but you know a lot.
but you get
do.
to experience all of the lessons
Vanessa's
that Vanessa
experiments.
has learned
Yes.
through college
Official
and
title
stuff.
is he's just a cool dude.
Yeah, cool dude.
Regular
I
dude.
got a lot of cool dude credentials.
I feel like, Xander,
A
you're
lot of
sort
dudes
of
are like, "You're a fucking cool dude."
Xander, I feel like you're sort of the test subject. I feel like Vanessa goes out and she learns some new technique and she's like, honey, put this in your butt. And then you guys like try stuff out.
Wait,
I mean,
what?
literally
Wait.
yesterday we were wrapping our full bodies in plastic wrap to try out a weird tip that I'd read on the internet. So
Exactly what
guinea
my
pig is
point is.
definitely an accurate description.
That's my point. I want to remind everybody that Vanessa has written these guides. Well, tell us about the book and the guides again, because I want to let everyone know what you have to offer them.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we wrote the book together. It's called Sex Talks, the 5 Conversations That Will Transform Your Love Life. And you can get that anywhere you get books. You can also go to sextalksbook.com and we have all the links there. We give you a free workbook with it as well. And then we, in our own business, like really specialize in creating how-to guides. Like,
yes, which
we
is
all
very
feel like
helpful for people.
Yeah, like we all feel like we're supposed to be great at sex, but I think we talked about this last time. Like, where do we learn? Whoever sits you down and says, okay, here's step by step exactly how to go down on a woman or how to give a guy the best blowjob he's ever gotten in his entire life.
Where can said guides be found again?
Yeah. Donald wants to be reminded where said guides can be found.
Those can be
Especially-
found at vmtherapy.com.
Yeah.
vmtherapy.com. Yes, we've got
vmtherapy.com.
foreplay guides, intercourse guides, all sorts of stuff.
Well, and there's specifics, because I remember last time there's specifics for like everything you need to know about the vagina, the penis, and the anus, right?
We cover everything.
Yes.
Yeah, we can talk about initiation. We have sex challenges, connection challenges. We actually, our newest thing is something called Best Week Ever. A lot of people have come to us and they're like, everything looks so good. I don't know where to start. And so we wanted to create a really concrete starting point for people. It's 7 days, 10 minutes a day or less, but really gives you like the best introduction to everything that we do. So you can go straight to vmtherapy.com/best if you want to check that one
Donald,
out.
you should get that for you and Casey. I'm sure she'd be down for a 7-week intensive sex course.
Listen, guys, I'm going to be
it
honest
actually
with
covers
you.
a lot of the things that we talked about with you guys last time, like kind of the emotional
I'm gonna
intimacy.
Yeah,
be
Donald,
honest
let's have a
with you.
check-in. Let's
get
have a
back
check-in.
to it.
I want an
Okay,
update.
Yeah, did you do any
You
of the
guys
chores?
fucked me is what happened, all right? That's
No,
what
wait.
happened, all right? You fucked me.
Wait.
You
Oh,
fucked.
no.
No, that's it. What do you mean wait? Wait for what? I'm going right to
Well,
it.
no, wait. I have a question. I want to remind the audience that Vanessa suggested that there was something called chore play.
I don't like shore play anymore. No.
Did chore play not work for you?
Shore play doesn't work for me. I've opted on less sex. There we go.
All right.
Interesting. Tell me more.
Fuck that shit. I don't like shore play. I don't like doing that shit. I don't like my kids. I love my kids, but I don't like hanging out with my kids. So short play, see you later.
But what about
Sorry.
chore play in the form of like doing the dishes and cleaning up a little and saying, "Honey, don't worry, I took care of X, Y, or Z for you."
Yeah, I do that every now and then, but I don't need sex to do that. That's cool. It's all right. I've opted
All right.
out of the whole scheduling chores for me. Shit, nah, fuck that. No. No.
All right, so and it hasn't improved any your ability to get more intercourse than you were getting. You felt like you had an appetite for more.
No, you guys gave my wife a power that it's too strong. It's my kryptonite. She's like chores and I'm like, nah, I'm good. Never mind.
Well,
It's
you
like
got to do the work. You got to do the work. I can hear my
I
therapist
do the
saying,
work. I don't want to do the work. I feel like this is what it felt like to me. It felt like I was doing the work to have sex, and I was like, it's all right. When you want to have sex,
see, that's
holla
Yeah,
at me.
Vanessa,
that's a
get
really
in here
important
on this.
distinction. Yeah. So the idea here is not that you earn sex by doing chores, like, oh, you wash like 20 dishes and you get one blowjob. Like it's not a reciprocal exchange here.
20
That would be
dishes.
that
That's
would
way
be
too few.
that would
I mean, yeah. Unless you
that
want to
would
come up
make
with
me
like an
wash so
exchange
many
rule.
dishes. 20 dishes is a blowjob?
So it's not an exchange. It's not an exchange. But the idea here is that what we're really looking for, what a lot of us women are really looking for, and people of all genders, like we want a real partner in life. Like we want somebody who's there with us through the thick and the thin and who's participating in those everyday activities with us so that we feel connected to them in those ways. And so it does, again, it's not about like doing the dishes in exchange for things. And there are plenty of couples like we have a ton of chores that we don't like doing. So we've hired them out. You know, we have a housekeeper that comes, but we find ways to be partnerships in other ways so that we both feel supported by each other and we want to be intimate with each other even after like a long, hard day.
Vanessa, is this one of the most common things that you get faced with? I wanted to ask you that right off the bat. For those of you who didn't hear the first episode, Donald and Casey talked about a difference in their libidos and how much sex they want. And I wondered, is this a very common thing with couples for you in your practice?
It's extremely common. I mean, I would even go so far to say that every couple has mismatched libidos simply because you're two different people. Like, it would be really weird if every single time you wanted sex, your partner also wanted sex and they wanted the exact same kind of sex in that moment. Like, that's just too strange. So
Right.
we all have these natural differences. I think one of the big problem is that we are so afraid of that term, like, ooh, mismatched libidos. Ooh, that's so scary. Oh, it's a problem. Oh, are we incompatible? And we get freaked out about it instead of just recognizing like, yeah, we're different people. We want, like, some nights I want Chinese for dinner and Xander wants Italian for dinner. Like, we don't
Right.
freak out about that. We just figure out, okay, how do we negotiate these differences? It's the same thing with sex.
The mastery, it comes in the communication, right? Because I think people are so afraid to talk about this stuff in all aspects. I mean, we can talk about, trying new things, which we'll go into. But I mean, I think even people have such insecurities around sex because it's we were told our whole lives it's so taboo that we're afraid to talk about it, right?
Yeah. And I mean, imagine anything else in your life trying to do it well with zero communication. Like, you guys have a business together. Could you run this business never talking about it? Like, the idea is preposterous. Like, of course not, right?
Yeah, I mean, it would be like, oh, well, we are so in sync and our business, like our concept is so good that we should never have to talk about it. Like, it just goes over well, you know.
And like, you guys have been friends for a long time. You've been working together for a long time. Why do you need to communicate? Shouldn't you be so in sync with each other, right? Like, it sounds ridiculous, but that's what we do with sex is, you know, oh, it should just be perfect and amazing, but nobody should ever have to talk about it. It's crazy.
And that's the one thing I hate. I hate that. I hate that any type of conversation of sex has to, first of all right, is everybody comfortable with talking about sex? Like, are we all good with this? I don't, like sometimes I like to talk about sex with my wife and she doesn't necessarily like to talk about it as much as I do. And I don't like that. I don't like that it's something that's so taboo, but yet you look at other couples like yourselves where you guys can have the conversation all the time and it's not an issue. And
but they're experts. I mean,
But
yeah, I mean, there's things they can teach.
Nobody's an expert. Only God's an expert, bro.
We've had our own challenges with this. Like, I started this business by myself. Xander and I did not work together for many years, and we went through the exact same pattern that the vast majority of couples go through, where, the beginning of the relationship, it was super hot and heavy. It felt like the chemistry was amazing. Like, we were like, okay, this is it. This is my person. And then we get a year, 2 years into the relationship, we've moved in together. And all of a sudden we're looking around thinking like, oh my God, what happened to us? Like, I don't remember the last time we had sex. The sex that we are having is pretty boring. It's not very exciting or like fulfilling and pleasurable. And we ourselves, even though I was already in this field, like, we struggled to talk about it. The only conversations that we ended up having, like the very few, were really negative. Like, it was just complaining and criticizing. We didn't get anywhere with it. Like, we didn't solve any problems. So we've been there ourselves, and it was us going through that experience and learning, oh, maybe the first conversations that we have about sex should not be the bad things and the complaints and the criticisms. Like, maybe we need to find a different way to creating a foundation.
That's a great segue, Vanessa, because I imagine there's a lot of people listening who are like, who can relate to everything you just said. I love my partner. We have had amazing sex. We've been together a while. It's gotten a little routine. How do you begin to have a conversation with that person that isn't going to make them feel bad? What do you recommend for people as a first step? Because I'm sure a lot of people who can relate. It's not that the sex is bad, but it's a little like, oh, this is how we've always done it. It's almost like an errand now. How does someone who's listening to this approach this with this partner their partner in a way that won't upset the partner?
So do the exact opposite of what Xander and I did. Like, instead of launching straight into all the criticisms and complaints, you've got to build a foundation of talking about sex in a positive or even just a neutral way. Like, you've got to get to the point where you feel comfortable with it, like comfortable talking about sex the same way we talk about, like, oh, what do we want to have for dinner? What's the weather going to be like tomorrow? So what we recommend is like, yeah. So we want to start talking about positive experiences. So one of the best things you can do is talk about some of your favorite sexual experiences together. So this is not a conversation to like achieve any sort of goal, to like eventually try to solve any problems. It's literally just like, hey, you know what memory popped into my head just really randomly the other day? Or like, you know what I had a dream about the other night? That anniversary trip that we took when we were in Mexico, we stayed at that hotel, what we did in the bathtub. Like, you just want to talk about sex in a positive way. You can also use this podcast as a great way to open up a conversation. Yeah. So it's like, hey, my favorite podcast, I listen to it every week. They had this sex therapist and her husband on today. Do you want to listen to it with me? It was a really interesting conversation.
And then you can just like keep hitting pause and be like, oh, hey, like, what do you think about this? Or like, oh, does this ever happen in our relationship? Like little things like that where you feel a little more detached from it because it's like we're talking about it. It's not, you guys having to talk about it yourselves. Yeah. But yeah, just like seeing, how we talk about it and just feeling more comfortable.
And that's actually what we designed, like our whole Instagram account. We're at Vanessa and Xander to do is like, we talk about other people's stories. We share statistics about our audience. So it gives you this neutral way of like, oh, look, I was just looking at their story. They say 91% of women say that intercourse isn't their favorite sexual activity. Like, isn't that crazy? You know, so when you're talking about it in this more objective way, rather than why do you never initiate? You never seem to want me anymore. You couldn't stay hard the last time we had sex. Like, that's a totally different
then
kind of
people get
conversation,
defensive,
right?
and they get
Of
defensive, and then
course.
they're not listening. It's like it's like
Turns
having a
into a
conversation
fight,
about any
doesn't it?
topic. If you put someone on the defensive, they're not going to be listening in the same way.
Exactly.
Just because you went there for a second, talk about that for a second. I remember last time you saying, this is a bit of a non sequitur, but you said some surprising figure to me about the percentage of women that can have an orgasm from penetration. What do you call that?
Yeah. It's only 10 to 15%. This is one of the big misunderstandings.
There's people that listen to this that came up to me and they said that was one of the most shocking things they heard.
So they're lying?
Yeah, a lot of women are lying, because that's just how.
Oh, wait, Vanessa, 10 to 15%.
Yeah,
from penetration alone.
Yeah,
From penetration alone.
We're not including like using your hands for assistance because
right. No. I know. I want to get to that, but my first is like just penetration. You're saying that the stats show 10 to 15% of women can have an orgasm that way.
Yeah. Did we talk about the anatomy last time? Wait, I gotta find my little model over here.
Right here.
Did we talk about anatomy last time?
Yeah, we talked
did a little bit.
But not everyone will have heard the episode. So go ahead.
Oh yeah, we're on video now. So.
And we're on video, so I can show you my cool.
Oh yeah, you can show. That looks like an
that an
avocado.
avocado?
That looks like an avocado that
that
you
an
guys
avocado?
carved.
Oh, I feel sad for Casey if you think that's an avocado.
No, it looks. I thought it was an avocado too. Audience, if you're just listening, it is green, and the vulvas I've seen are not green. But go ahead.
Our window is right in front of a bunch of trees, so it's casting a green light on it. But it's gold. It's meant to be real fancy.
Oh, it's a golden vagina.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
when we're
You're
having
gonna want to watch this on video, audience, on YouTube, because now we have visual aids. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so the clitoris is this little white nub up here.
I've never seen it as a white nub, but that's interesting.
And have you seen it as this full shape?
Oh my goodness.
No, that's
wow.
Yeah. This is
interesting.
actually what the clitoris looks like. So this little tiny nub of skin that most of us think of as the clitoris is just one small part of the whole thing. It actually splits off into these two legs. These are called crura, and it sits.
Is this available at your website?
I wish it was, but I got this from another company.
All right.
Okay. So when we're having intercourse, so the clitoris, let me back up. The clitoris is the most sensitive part of the human body, male or female, any gender.
Way
the
more
clitoris.
nerve endings than the penis.
Yeah, there are 8 to 10, somewhere between 8 to 10,000 nerve endings in the clitoris. Compare that to 2 to 3,000 in the penis. So it's way more sensitive.
Yeah. So when you do it right, it's way better for a woman than for a man. I'm sorry guys, but yeah.
No, that's
okay.
interesting.
So if you look at the model,
can I pause you there? Now those legs that come down, they don't have all those endings. It's the clitoris itself.
It's the entire structure. But yeah,
you're getting to the heart of the matter here, which is great.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're all throughout the structure, but yeah, the little nub is particularly sensitive.
Little
So-
nub
Like
was
this
a
is
nickname.
important.
And, okay.
Yeah,
Little
it seems
nubbin.
like this is why width is important. The legs seem pretty far apart compared to.
So when we're having intercourse, we're actually getting the vast majority of stimulation is happening in the vagina. And the vagina, compare it to those 8 to 9,000 nerve endings in the clitoris, the vagina does not have very many nerve endings at all. I keep looking for a proper scientific tally, and I still have yet to find one. And if you think about it, it's like childbirth is already excruciatingly painful. We don't want to have that area of our body like
Even more sensitive,
Right.
even more filled with nerve endings.
Right.
So we women during intercourse, we're getting stimulation of a part of our body that just biologically is not wired to feel a lot of pleasure. So intercourse, like it can feel good. It feels very intimate. It's connecting. It's fun to try out different positions. But from a nerve ending standpoint, I like to say it's like the equivalent of playing with a man's balls. So sure, for you, that might feel fun. It might be enjoyable. It might be pleasant. But for 99.99% of men, like it's not going to be nearly enough stimulation to lead to orgasm.
Right.
So intercourse for a woman is really like the equivalent of playing with a man's balls. It's just not. It's
I need
not
that on
gonna
a
get us
T-shirt.
there.
I need that on a T-shirt.
Yeah, so
Joelle,
now-
please have that in the merch shop for us.
Yeah.
So then I mean the reality
So
is
what-
that
so-
when
okay, I have a
inside
question.
so yeah when you penetrate inside the vagina, the reality is the legs of the clitoris do extend around that area, but every woman's anatomy is different. Sometimes those legs are closer to the vaginal wall, sometimes they're further from the vaginal wall. So
That was
that's
the
why
question.
you can
Mhm.
you can derive some pleasure from intercourse, but that pleasure, the amount is really going to depend person to person. And it's just an anatomical reality of how
Yeah.
your body, how your
Yeah.
body is.
I'm just
And
shocked that
that's-
it's.
yeah.
I'm
So
Go ahead.
width is not, it doesn't, I mean, it seems like where
So
the walls are.
girth can create a little bit more pressure or a little more like stimulation, but it's also like, think about when you have a knot in your back, you want your partner to like get their thumbs on skin to skin, right? Versus think
Mhm.
about like you wearing a wool sweater and a down jacket and a parka and asking
Damn!
somebody
Is that-
to massage you. It's
Dang,
like,
there's that
like,
much separation?
Well, it
It's hard
depends
to, like,
on.
work
It depends
through.
on each.
When I was a kid, I
Muscle
dry
and
humped in my
tissue.
jacket, and I remember dry humping in my jacket and my pants and my boots, and being like, there's nothing going, there's nothing.
There you go. Great
nothing.
example.
Joelle's face is killing me.
Yeah.
All we did, we were kissing, and then we were like, we were gonna go outside, but then we decided to kiss and everything, and we were like dry humping, but we were dry humping with our jackets and boots and pants on.
Yeah,
So
but when
there
you were
was no-
young, it still felt fun to be rolling around dry humping.
well,
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, that the excitement was there, but there was nothing like, it was literally like, and now to find out that I'm even further away.
Right. Well, what you're saying, Vanessa, what you're saying, it seems to me, is it depends on each individual woman's biology of how thick the wall is from the legs of the clitoris. So I get that right?
Yeah. But again, it's like, let's imagine there could be different anatomy for men. Like maybe, my balls are like closer to the shaft. And so when you're playing with the balls, like you sort of can get the shaft. But it's like the bottom line is, no, if we want to get a guy to orgasm, we're going to focus on the penis. Like that just makes the most sense. We're not like,
That's what I
maybe
do.
your balls are like kind of close enough that I could
Right.
get, so we need to do the same with women. We need to give the clit the same respect.
Right.
Like,
So last time you were on, you said ABC, right?
always
playing,
be touching the clit.
always be close touching the clit. There's a couple missing letters, but always be
Or,
clit.
yeah, always be close to
TT.
the
Always
clit, yeah.
be clit. ABC, always be clit.
So what you mean
That's
is
better.
that and obviously goes without saying, this isn't for every person, but a good direction to head is that to find a way to be stimulating the clitoris even whilst you're having intercourse.
And
Yeah,
then
that's
after,
great.
Stay
Uh-huh.
away from it.
Yeah, it can get real
After,
sensitive afterwards.
Stay away.
Right. But wait,
Once
Vanessa,
orgasm happens, don't touch the clitoris
okay.
anymore.
But wait, answer my question first, Vanessa, what I was saying.
Yeah, that is a great strategy to use, and also making sure you're using your hands and your mouth like before intercourse as well. I think we talked last time about
Yeah.
like intercourse doesn't have to be the main event,
Or like
we
the
always-
last event.
or the last event. We want to give just as much attention to using hands and mouths too.
Right.
And then
Right.
and really this gets back to even the conversations about sex, is that every woman has a different, slightly different anatomy. Every woman is going to have different preferences in terms of what type of clitoral stimulation she likes, whether it's
Right.
more direct stimulation, more indirect
Mhm.
stimulation, really light, more vigorous. And so
Vigorous.
and so the reality
Vigorous.
is it's
I
so
like
important
that.
to
Donald
move
likes
with
it vigorous.
Yeah.
Vigor.
Okay.
Move with vigor.
But yeah, it's so important to be able to have those conversations, when you're first starting to have sex with someone of, hey, what type of stimulation do you
Right.
like? Do you like it when, I touch your clit while we're having sex?
Mhm.
Do you, would you prefer to be touching it so that you're more in control? Like, what type, do you want me to be more vigorous? Do you want me to be more gentle, more indirect?
I get that the sooner the better for this but also you don't want to do it like the first time you're having sex. I mean, I wouldn't, I think, I mean, I don't know. You guys tell me, but it's like,
maybe
it
not
feels
like as many questions, but yeah,
no,
I think starting from the beginning.
I just feel like you should
if
maybe
you guys are planning it, why not? If
no,
you're
because
like, we're going to do it tonight. All right, well, let me tell me what you like.
That's not how it happens in my experience. When you're the first time you have sex, it kind of happens and it's exciting and it's new and you're both like kind of obviously turned on by it. I'm guessing that the first time through isn't the most ideal time to ask all these questions. Maybe the second time, or tell me I'm wrong. I don't know.
I think that couples should get used to communicating with each other right from the beginning. And so I wouldn't like pepper somebody with questions of like, okay, please write me your manifesto of what you would like me to do to you tonight.
How vigorous
but like
do you
Donald
like
was saying,
it?
like you can make it, you can on a scale of 1 to 10, how vigorous do you want it?
Yeah, what's your vigor level?
You can make it feel sexy. Like, I'm so excited to see you later tonight. Like, tell me what you want me to do to you. And then in the moment, I'll give you a really simple, easy way to do this. Like, you could try.
I'm taking notes. Hold on. Let me get my pen. Let me get my pen and my whiteboard.
This works great for couples at any stage of a relationship, but you can try 2 different techniques and say, do you like it better when I do this to you or when I do this to you?
Right.
So you're not like putting them on the spot of like, tell me how to touch your clitoris. You're doing it in the moment and you're incorporating that communication into the actual activity. And that feels super hot if someone
that's a way to that's a way to do it in sort of a sexy way that isn't clinical. Like it's kind of like the optometrist, this or this.
That's exactly what I call it. Yeah, the eye exam technique.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to try the eye exam technique. It's easier
when you're picking from like between 1 or 2 options. That's a lot easier. I think one of the big mistakes that men make in the bedroom
hold on.
Women,
my pen is out.
Yeah, let me take notes. Men ask women, what do you want? And a lot of us women totally freeze up. For so many reasons. Like first, it's a big question. How do I even start to answer that? Like I feel like I have to write you the 20-page manifesto of exactly what I want. And then 2, a lot of us women have never explored our own bodies. So many women have never had an orgasm. They've never masturbated. And so it's like, well, what am I supposed to tell you if I don't know? Like, I don't know. And then 3, like we also have been so socialized to be caretakers, caregivers, like put other people's needs and feelings above our own. So like, I don't want to tell you something different from what you're doing that maybe it'll hurt your feelings. So we never recommend asking that question. It's just too big. Instead, like breaking it down into like, yeah, do you like it this or do you like this better? That's so much more useful.
Yeah. And then on the far other extreme side, the other mistake that men make is assuming, oh, okay, I've had sex with a lot of people and I think I know the best way to give her an orgasm. Like I know the one way. And the reality is, like we were talking about with anatomy, every anatomy is different. There's such a wide range, probably a wider range of preferences for women when it comes to how they like their clitoral stimulation. And so your way that you think worked for like the last X number of people that you had sex with, like that is most likely not going to work for
especially given that
next person.
77% of women say that they've faked an orgasm. So
wow.
definitely your moves are not nearly as good as you think they are.
After this conversation, I say more than that.
Zach, I love you. Zach, I love you.
Sorry, guys. It was a brief break. Someone's trying to get into the conversation.
Zach, I love you.
Bad timing.
I'm sorry. 70% of women.
77.
77.
Yeah, I actually agree with Donald. I think it's higher than that. I think it's higher.
And is that just because they want it to be?
I think a lot of the statistics that women are given you guys are given a nice pass and you don't get the full statistic. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm learning. I think it's way higher than that. I think the cheating factor is way higher than people think. I think a lot of it is because of, the lack of chore play that goes on.
Right.
But I'm dead serious. I think it turns people into, when the conversation doesn't happen that you guys are talking about, and when actions aren't taken after a conversation is had, I think it leads to outer marital stuff, and then you're in a whole whirlwind. So I think it's really important to have these conversations, even if you've never had them before. I think you should have them, or your marriage. This is for married people, or your marriage isn't necessarily gonna thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Is the faking an orgasm about like I don't want you to I want it to be over, I'm over it, and I don't and you just said that's what it is.
Yeah, that's the most common reason given, but it's also like I don't want to hurt my partner's feelings. I know I'm not going to. Maybe I've never had one, so it just feels like the easier thing to do. But definitely the most common one is just want it to be over.
Yeah, I think there's
what about
also
men?
that. Sorry, there's also just kind of like almost like faking by omission as well. I think Donald was getting at, it feels like that number could even be higher. There's obviously, there's sort of the faking, like putting on an act, like pretending that it is happening. But then I think there's also just the kind of faking where like you're not putting on an act, but you're not really like showing that anything is happening one way or the other. And then afterwards, there's the classic like, oh, was it good for you? And
Right.
she's just like, oh yeah, that was great. And I know I've been guilty of that so often, like early on in my sex life. Like I didn't know how to ask the women that I was with, like what they liked, how things really were. I had no idea if I was actually like giving them an orgasm or not. And I would just kind of like go for a while and it's like, oh, seems like they're enjoying it.
Right.
That must have been
I think
good.
the optometrist,
I did a good job.
I think the optometrist thing is a really good idea because it takes the pressure off it feels sexy. It feels like a way to be almost playing a titillating game in a way.
Yeah, exactly. That's the exact kind of techniques that we aim for, like things that feel fun and lighthearted. They don't feel so serious, but they're still very, very effective in the moment.
Let's talk about threesomes.
I've been waiting for this conversation.
Because I feel like it's a common fantasy, I could be wrong, of couples to have this like, oh, wouldn't that be crazy if we did that one day? Not all couples, of course. It goes without saying. But
it's one of the top 3 sexual fantasies. It's very common.
Okay. But I feel like it's very hard for people, even if it's a fantasy, to ever
admit to it.
No, I wasn't going to say admit to it. I was going to say to make it happen, because even if they turn each other on by talking about it, or they daydream about it, or it's a one-day thing, people, it's kind of hard to execute, right? Because how do you choose who that person's going to be? Can you speak to that a bit? Like, let's say someone's listening to this, they're a couple, it's always been on their like fantasy bucket list, but they don't even know, like, they probably shouldn't be a friend. It shouldn't be, maybe they don't want to. What do people do who want to try that?
Yeah, it is really difficult.
This
It's
is
such a common
dangerous.
fantasy, but very difficult to execute because of having to find somebody. So you have to find someone that not only both of you are attracted to and feels like a safe person to have it with, but also that person has to be attracted to both of you as well. And everybody has to be on board about wanting to do the same activities and have, certain things be on the table or off the table. So it's a pretty high barrier to entry. I think these days your best option is like an app, trying to find somebody through an app, just like really put it out there. A lot of people just hope for that, like that magical night that things just all come together and it happens, but that's just super rare. But I would say for the vast majority of couples, it's important to recognize that we can fantasize about something without necessarily needing or wanting to do it in real life. So a lot of couples can get a lot of enjoyment just talking dirty about a threesome. Like, ooh, what would it be like? What would you want to do? What would it feel like for you to watch me be with this person? You can talk dirty about it, role play with it a little bit. And like that might be enough for a lot of couples.
I was about to say
that's
yeah, sorry, Xander, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think where it can start to get tricky is when you're transitioning from that fantasizing about the idea of it into the practicalities, because then you start thinking about, okay, so like if we actually do this, assuming we do find the right person, then all right, like what activities are on and off the table for each of us? What do we do in the moment if one of us starts feeling uncomfortable or like that inherent moment where you notice that the other two people are more involved with each other and you're kind of sitting
And
there
you're in
like,
the corner
wait.
like this.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be a
How do I get
threesome,
back
guys.
Checking your Instagram.
Yeah. So then, once you start getting through to a lot of those logistical things, it can start to feel like, all right, this doesn't actually feel as exciting to me anymore now that I'm getting into the realities of it. I'm not saying that's a reason to not have it. Like many people are going to be like, okay, cool. Yeah, let's talk about those logistical things. Like, let's go. Like, I'm good with that. But I do think that that's where a lot of people drop off from like being excited about the fantasy to then actually doing it in real life. Because for a lot of people, it just starts feeling like more trouble than it's worth.
Well, and also it can get you into trouble. I mean, you may have, like all the things you just said, you both might be into it and you're excited. And then when it actually happens, there's jealousy involved. There's like, I thought we agreed you weren't going to do that, but it seemed like you were doing that. It can be very complicated, it seems.
Also, once the dopamine hits and is gone, and you don't necessarily feel the same way anymore. It's like, nah, I don't necessarily feel like that was what I wanted to do. It was fun, but I mean, I think that's the most common thing. It's like, for me, I should say, once I think that's just for everybody. Once you nut, everybody's like, all right, that was fun. You want a sandwich?
Yeah. Should we call you an Uber? You said that's one of the top 3 of fantasies, Vanessa. What are some of the others that couples are excited about, and maybe one that's more actionable than inviting a third person into the room?
So the top 3 other ones there are group sex. They kind of differentiate group sex from threesomes, and also like kinky sex, a little bit of bondage.
Bondage.
That's another high one. And then
is different from threesome.
Well, she's saying like an orgy.
In the research that I've seen, they categorize it differently.
Yeah, more like orgy.
But another top one that I found so fascinating, like one of the most common fantasies for both men and women is just romantic sex. And I thought that was actually really sweet that a lot of people fantasize about just having this like very passionate, emotional like romance with each other. So that's one that's very actionable. You can
those are the married people.
Yeah, like
those
Fabio.
Are the married people.
Just dress up like Fabio and
listen. That sounds like a married couple with children, because sex is, you try to have sex as when you do try to have sex, it's like, all right, the kids aren't around. Let's try to get this going right now. But what you're really wanting is that, I want to make love to you, darling. I want to kiss you.
Yeah, or have it be like it was back in the beginning when you were really putting on your best show.
Mm-hmm. So I think that
best in show.
I like reminding people, like, a fantasy doesn't need to be something wildly elaborate or super kinky. Like, it's totally okay to fantasize about just having some passion and romance with your partner. So if you want to bring back some of that energy, maybe it's like recreating your first date, or just like having a nice date with each other where you get dressed up, you like look really nice, put on something you haven't worn for a while, and just have that like quality time together.
Let's talk about vibrators. What are your thoughts on?
I love how you introduce every subject. Let's talk about threesomes.
All right. Do you guys have your own podcast?
We do. It's called Pillow Talks. It comes out every Thursday.
Pillow Talk, everybody. Check out Pillow Talk and remind people where they can get the guides on all the things.
They're at vmtherapy.com. And if you want that one, the like best starting point, the 7-week challenge, that's
7 day.
7 day. Sorry, not 7 week. It's vmtherapy.com/best.
Okay. And I assume you also do one-on-ones private, right?
I don't anymore, actually. Once we started building out the online guides and courses, they were so popular with people that we decided to like really go in that direction.
Okay.
It just makes it a lot more accessible.
Now, in your business, I imagine you get a lot of creepers too that reach out to you guys and stuff like that. Where it's
I used to when it was just me, but since Xander joined the business like years ago, they're actually minimal creepers. But I'm gonna knock on wood. Please don't creep us.
But I should say for couples that are intrigued by this and maybe having a session, there are people that will get on Zoom with you and you can hire them to give you and your partner some coaching, right?
Yeah. If you want to do that, for sure.
Okay, vibrators.
Wait a second. Wait.
What?
coaching like you're watching them and you
No,
know,
no.
Timmy, lift the ass a little higher.
Well, I don't
No?
know. I'm sure that exists, but that wasn't what I meant.
Okay.
That
Zach, I
exists.
love
It's
you.
not what I would recommend.
Joel, what did I say that was so wrong?
Well,
You didn't
Joel,
say
I would have
anything
had
wrong.
that
The
same question. I would-
situation just gave me like horrifying anxiety. Like what? From the
Oh.
Zoom window? Just
No,
oh my
I'm
God.
sure you can. I'm sure. Listen, you can find anything. I'm sure you can find someone to be
Absolutely.
like, no, arch her back, arch her back. But I wouldn't want that.
No, me neither.
Vibrators, and I don't mean dildos, but vibrators, even small ones, they can be of assistance for clitoral stimuli, right?
They can.
And penis.
And penis and balls and anus and all of that,
All
right? We haven't
things.
spoken about that because you were talking about I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. We were talking about making sure to always be closing, always be touching the clit.
Always be clit.
Always be clit. What are your thoughts on small vibrators to help with that?
Yes.
Vibrators can be really great. I mean, there are some amazing toys these days. I always say with vibrators, like you really get what you pay for. So you want to look for high quality materials, body safe materials like medical grade silicone, that kind of stuff. So be careful with the toys that you're buying.
Yeah.
But in general, yeah, they can be great. There are a lot of great toys that couples can use together that can like slip between your bodies. Wonderful for like long distance couples. There are some that have Bluetooth that you can program and like use,
Bluetooth.
across
Oh.
distances. Yeah. So the big question that always comes up with vibrators is, can you get addicted to them? And the answer to that is no, you can get addicted to a vibrator. But I do encourage people to be thoughtful about how they want to have their orgasms, because basically the way that you masturbate can start to create neural pathways in our brain that just make it easier to like continue orgasming in the same way versus being able to do it in a variety of ways. So this is for any kind of masturbation. If you're always using a toy, if you're always using the same technique, if you're always watching porn, if you're always thinking about the same fantasy in your mind, like you just kind of carve these pathways in your brain. And so with a vibrator in particular, like one of the great things about vibrators is how easy they can make it to orgasm. But also because of that, sometimes some of us turn into lazy masturbators where it's like we just like put the toy there, kind of wait around for it to do its thing. And so you can just get like used to the reality that orgasms with a vibrator are very quick and you don't have to do much. There's not much effort involved. So if you want to have orgasms in other ways, like if you have your partner touching you, you might start to notice like, ooh, it's just not feeling as good. It's not as fast. So if you are happy having all your orgasms with vibrators, go with it. If you want to have a variety of orgasms, make sure you kind of mix it up. Don't use a vibrator more than like about half the time.
Xander, like, and for men, like, what do you recommend? Like, when other than your hand, is there a toy that men can go out and get that?
A Theragun.
Yeah.
Just beat yourself up with that Theragun.
Yeah, if you like, yeah. I mean, I know we were talking about vigor, and if you like vigorous stimulation, I would absolutely recommend the Theragun. But,
we could get sponsored by Theragun.
yeah, no, there are plenty of options out there for men. I mean, there are more like male focused like couple type of toys. Like there are various cock rings that can vibrate or not vibrate.
In England, I think it was in the UK or somewhere overseas, in the men's bathrooms, they used to sell like, next to condoms.
The little tiny vibrating.
It would be a cock ring with a little vibrating top on it. I couldn't believe it was for sale in the bathrooms, but I didn't buy one, but I always was curious what.
You didn't.
I didn't. I mean, I was curious to see what it was like, but I can be honest in saying I've never done the experiment.
What else is there, Xander?
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of like male masturbator devices, like sleeves and
But
whatnot.
do those things work? I feel like those things are like,
They
You're
do.
talking about, like-
We've heard some rave reviews.
Yeah, of
Really?
course they're
Joe,
not
which
particularly.
ones? Which
Donald wants to write down which one. No, I don't mean for men alone. I'm talking about things that men can do with their partner. I'm not talking about like you know.
Yeah, it's mostly going to be cock rings that have like a little vibration attachment for her.
Yeah, because you need to have the penis free for actual use with the partner.
And there's nothing you can do to make it bigger, right?
You asked this last time.
I mean, not safely and not reliably.
When you say
But
not
also, like-
safely, what is the risk when you say not
I mean,
safe?
you can
What do
find a
mean?
sketchy doctor to do some injections, like, you know, if you want
Do you have a number? Do you have a number?
Yeah.
310.
But I will say, like, women truly, like, really and truly do not care about penis size nearly
I know,
as much
Donald,
as
you
men.
need to get over that.
Do they care
They
about
do.
penis girth?
Girth, I will say girth is more important than length.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
we
so wait
hear
a second,
from- we hear
Vanessa.
from
You
more
said they don't
women-
really care.
No.
But girth is more important than
No,
length.
but
But
I
still, they
you-
care about it a lot less. We actually hear
Yeah.
from far more women saying, my partner's penis is too long or too girthy, and it causes me pain and discomfort.
Mm.
Where and we hear from far fewer women saying, like, my partner's penis is too small. I'm like not feeling enough stimulation.
Zach, I love
So it's-
you.
Yeah.
It's really not
Yeah.
nearly as big of an issue as most people think it is. Most
All
men
right,
think it
Joelle's
is.
giving us that we have to wrap it up with you guys. You're such great guests. You're so informative.
I could talk to you guys all day.
I know. I could talk to you
Oh,
all
I
day
wish we
too.
could.
I really could, man. I could
We'll come back
honestly
for part
talk to you
3.
guys all day.
We have so many questions, but and our audience loves having you on. So thank you so much. And
My wife does appreciate the fact that I have backed off quite a bit. And we have had conversations about quality being better than quantity. And so I
that's
really
good.
do. There's a lot to thank you for. I was joking when I said you guys fucked me. The amount of sex has dropped off, but also I've gotten a little bit more mature in my thought pattern and how we're supposed to.
Well, listen,
and
the
when we're
most
supposed
the most
to.
basic thing in all aspects of relationships is communication. And it sounds like even though you might not be getting as much sex as you want, it sounds like your communication improved.
At top level.
There you go.
Oh, so
that's
glad
great.
to hear that. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we can come back and do another session with you guys because that was so fun when she came in.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. All right. Thank
But
you
I don't know if
guys.
she's going to come back in again.
No, she doesn't- especially if you're not doing chore play.
Yeah, if I'm not
All
doing,
right.
she's gonna be like the chore play. It didn't work.
All right, thank you. What great guests. I could have asked them so many more questions, Don.
I could have gone on
I had a lot of other topics.
and on and on and
We
on.
could pretend that you're the expert and I just ask you my questions.
No, because Joelle's not gonna like my answers.
Yeah, Joelle won't like your answers at all, I can tell.
Joelle was like, every time I said something, Joelle was like, Donald, you're getting really close to that line.
Not
You're
every
getting
time.
Really close to that line.
You cannot hit a line with those folks. They'll answer anything you want.
I feel like that's the point. Their point is finding that line.
I know. I think their whole thing, if I get anything from them, it's like, just be uncensored with your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, of course, be respectful and be tactful and think of the right time for the conversation. But over and over again, what I seem to get from them is like, you have to be brave and have these conversations.
Read the room too. Read the room. There's a way to do it, and the way isn't listen and don't come from a negative side of things.
Yeah.
Even though you might feel like, that's the way to go. The proper way is to be complimentary and find other ways. It's almost it's almost a game, but sex is a game.
I'm going to try
In a lot
that
of
eye
ways.
exam thing when I'm with you next. I'm going to like gently.
What are you gonna do?
I'm going to grab your left cheek. I'm going to be like this. And then I'm going to grab your right cheek. And I'm like, or this.
And what are you gonna do after that?
And then if you're like both, I'm going to check your temperature through your butt.
If we were a couple, you and I would have no problem communicating about sex. you
Right.
and
But
I.
I feel like your libido is way more than mine. I would not want to bang as much as you do. I'd
You'd be getting banged a lot.
I know. I wouldn't want it.
We'd have to call some of our friends over and
There's
be like,
no
listen.
amount of chore play you could do.
We'd have to call over our friends and be like, listen, we're having a white party.
There's no amount of chore play you could do that would make me want to bang as often as you'd want to bang.
Yeah.
My anus would be like, nope. It would pucker up. Jesus. Word.
I would make your anus pucker, is what you're saying?
Like I just like imagine I just ate a lemon like this. My anus would be like
I am a
I like
cat.
that you all of a sudden sounded like Red Fox, too.
All right.
Lamont, you big dummy.
This will be that'd be the noise my anus was making.
Wow. All right.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh my God.
My word, they're gonna eat that one up. Oh my God. I'm keeping this part in the show.
Here's some stories about a show we